Hello everybody, Skyrim here, back again with another Diablo Immortal video. Alright, it is weekly reset time, so that means to hit the ground running and hit it hard. There is a fair amount of activities here that we're going to cover. Of course, this is a weekly checklist, so to speak, for everything involved, and also we're going to check in with some things to keep mind of, since we are now going to be rapidly approaching the Inferno 9 Paragon level of 1100. Things of that nature. There are a couple events that will be ending before, and I wanted to make note of that as well here. But first and foremost, a very simple breakdown of this, since they changed this recently in our codex. It's a very, very, very nice feature. All activities, weekly and daily. So if you really want to see at the very outset of the start of the week, there's a few outliers which we're going to cover in this, because this is basically a recap for the vast majority of us, and it also is a guide for newer players to try to keep tabs on the most important things that you need to accomplish every week in the game. Okay, so as we can see, since the codex has been changed recently, it's very, very nice. Let's go ahead and switch it over to weekly activities. This will break it down to the must-dos for the most part, and I'll give my little points on some of these if you don't already know. So let's get into it. The Elder Rift. The Elder Rift is pretty much a must-do, because you want all the fading embers that you can possibly get. Now, if you do it single, you can only get up to 280 fading embers. And why are those important? Well, let's go ahead and break that down too. Going a little bit more into detail for the Elder Rifts for the weekly duration of things. The fading embers are very, very important to do, because fading embers for completing, you have to use... You do not have to do this. This run right here, the 280, you can do this without using any crests whatsoever. This is what I usually do. I focus on after I get in the bonus weekly limit. The bonus weekly limit is when you do Elder Rifts with parties, and if anybody in your party is using a crest of any form, any of these crests whatsoever, they will accrue points towards this tally. It takes a while depending, so that's why a lot of times people will be asking in chat for 10 crest runs and that kind of thing, because that will rack this up that much faster. And then once you reach your Fading Ember bonus weekly number here, then you can go ahead and run these solo at your leisure with however if you want to still use crests, you can, but you don't have to, and you will still accumulate this. Now, every run you do will give you 10. You will get 10 fading embers per run on this tally up here, regardless if you're in a party or not. So that's how you do this. And why is this important? Of course, well, the fading embers, of which I'm down to 0 again because I had just recently got that. Continuing down the fading ember route here, you go to the Jewel Crafter, you go to Gem Services, you go to Craft, and I've already done it, so that's why it's not on the top of the list. But you need 320 fading embers, of which you will get in a week's time on average, or so. Or actually, you'll get that in a week's time on average, so you can craft a Eternal Legendary Crest, of which whenever you use these in the Elder Rift, you have a chance of getting a gem that you can sell, a sellable legendary gem for use on the market, in-game market. So that's why that's important. So that is something to constantly be going after as far as Elder Rifts go every week. Moving on into the next important activity, of course, which is bi-weekly, twice a week, is the Helliquary raids. This will continue to push your combat rating up the more you do these. You will get the remains that you will equip that will give you combat rating in these as well. This is why this is very, very important to do your raids as often as possible. So you definitely want to make these in twice a week. This is a definite must. And as you can see here, you get combat rating increase with these. Now, these other bonuses down here, the special attributes, are only active in the Helliquary raids and challenge rifts, these two here. Everything else still applies, though. So these are very, very important to get, and this is why you want to do your raids, because that is where a bulk of your combat rating will come from, is doing your Helliquary. And then you get your bonus seeker rating will continue to increase as well, so then you will get the most out of this for combat rating, because combat rating is king as far as how it time gates you to all forms of content in this game. As you see here, the Seeker rating, which is a thing that was introduced some time ago. Yeah, there we go. Combat rating right there. So you definitely get a bonus the higher we go into this, and the more often you do raids, the higher this will continue to rise, as well as some other activities. But mostly your Helliquary raids is what you're after in this. Your tableau will also go up. Your ancestral tableau will also go up, as you can see here, and then everything is converted over. And this is where you get Seeker rating from it, which will also in turn give you more combat rating. So this is a definite must. This is, you have to do your Helliquary raids. Now, as we're approaching, a side note on this one, as we are approaching, this is going to be a little difficult depending on who you're running with. If you're running with randoms, it's going to be extremely difficult to avoid right now, especially because I'm starting to see more and more raids out there doing Inferno 9s early. This will net you a significant amount of experience on first clears. The first time you clear these, you will get a significant amount of experience. So you can try and hold this off until we get to the server paragon level of 1100 perhaps, or when you are just close, a couple paragon levels out, this will give you the biggest boost. Right now, if you can avoid it, I would almost suggest it. You don't necessarily have to. I understand you'll sometimes get in groups, or if you're in a warband and they're already dead set on doing those early, then you're kind of in for the ride anyway, regardless. But this is just a suggestion here, along with this tally of everything here, now that we are actually getting closer to the next difficulty paragon level of 1100. I just wanted to put this in as a little side note. I'm going to try to do this myself, but I have a feeling, since I'm not in a an active warband, that is, I usually run mine with randoms all the time, and in some cases I do them solo, but whenever I do run these, you'll kind of get whatever you're going to get with the group that you're with. So it's kind of a crapshoot. Take your chances. If I get early clears on some of these already, then so be it. It's whatever at this point. I'm not too concerned with the crunch rush to maximize for that, because once you start doing that, you're really starting to push the envelope a little too much, I feel. Really min-maxing. And you're only getting a couple days, honestly, out of being ahead of everybody else. If you are that dead set on it, hey, be my guest. I know Mao's got plenty of guides in that situation on how to go about doing that. He's got that down to a science at this point. But honestly, sometimes it's like, that's cool if you want to do it, but just play the game and chill out. You'll get there eventually. Everybody else will at the same time. It's really not too much to be bothered with. But like I said, I just put those in as little side notes here as we go throughout these weekly tasks. All right, just moving on down the line here. Terror Rifts. Terror Rifts are very straightforward. You can only get 10 Terror Essences in the amount of Terror Rifts that you do throughout a week's time, so keep that in mind. They may accumulate faster than other times. Sometimes you'll get a couple Terror Essences in one run with the 4 spires, and sometimes not. Sometimes you'll get just the guaranteed one after running all 4 spires. So there is that to consider. Terror Rifts are also good for getting your daily gems, but I mean, we're talking all about weekly activities right now. So as far as this goes, Terror Rifts in that regard, at least get in your 10 Terror Essences a week. You can use these for multiple reasons. You can use these, which it's horrific on the rerolls on some magic affixes that are class specific, because you have to burn a whole week's worth of these in one reroll attempt, which is why I don't even bother. It's ridiculous the amount on this. At first, when they first introduced this, I thought it was going to be 1, and I was all for it. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. 1 Terror Essence and a reroll, and as what the other rerolls worked from before, or so we thought anyway. But no, they decided to make this a cost of 10 per reroll, which is absolutely ludicrous. So that's why I don't even bother. I take whatever I can get. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Now, as far as the next thing here, however, the Abyssal Verge is one way of going about it. It's weird because I have it on weekly activities. Is the other... Oh, Erebon's here as well. Okay, good. You have two options. You can... Well, three options, technically. The Hidden Lairs, the Erebon, Castle Erebon, or the Abyssal Verge. So here we are at what I consider basically to be the weekly hub. This is the weekly hub in Westmarch. You got Castle Erebon here, you got Abyssal Verge over here, and you also have the Vanguard, which we're going to touch on in a moment. But nonetheless, these are where you can go and do... This is a party activity. Well, not necessarily a party activity, but heavily requested to be a party activity and highly suggested to be done in a party. You can also get your daily party gems in this activity as well, because you're in a party, obviously. So this is another way to knock out gems... normal gems all over the place if you so choose, and this is a lot of preferred method from a lot of people, especially at the start of the week. And also for those that have activated their Winds of Fortune buff, of which I have yet to do myself, and I'm about ready to here in a little bit, honestly. I'm about ready to activate my Winds of Fortune buff, because then I will get... The weekly gems will be gathered twice as fast. The cap remains the end cap remains the same, however, so just bear that in mind when it comes to the Winds of Fortune buff. The daily gems, however, are doubled, so that is why you want to do the trick of saving up 2 days catch-up mechanic for the normal gems on the daily and wait until you're about ready to activate this buff, which is what I'm going to do today. Just a little quick side note in this one to follow up even further. As you can see here, I have 2 days worth of catch-up plus today. They'll be bound, mind you, but I don't care. I'm keeping all normal gems anyway. So all of these right here will be doubled. Okay, so that is why you want to wait and do not do party gem activities for 2 days prior to activating the Winds of Fortune buff. And try to get it in the middle of a day, so that way the next day it'll carry over and you can get your daily unbound gems doubled the following day as well, before that Winds of Fortune buff runs out. Okay, that's a little quick side note on that one. But continuing on with weekly activities, these are an absolute must. You definitely want to get your 63 bound and 63 unbound gems normal gems every single week. This is an absolute must. So there's quickest ways to bang it out, of course, is with the party, with Abyssal Verge. And then even Erebon. Erebon does yield some very decent experience whenever you do these runs as well, depending on how long you want to stay in there too. So, and you must take out the mobs to get the most maximum gain for experience whenever you run this. This is also a harder push if you want to do it even after capping your gems, if you have the patience, that is, to make that last extra experience gains to push towards the next difficulty. This is a method of that. Okay, just another side note for that, because we're combining everything. We're doing the weekly checklist here and also giving some tips and tricks about how to, continue to push towards the next difficulty, which we are vastly approaching very, very quickly. And on that same note, the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass ends here soon in a couple days, this week. So this is also a way to push further in. This is you have to claim everything in here or you will lose these. So it is also the start of the week, of which I usually do this stuff anyway. So I will be claiming all of this stuff in a little while here. And then you will gain the most out of this for the Battle Pass before you lose it. So make sure all the way until you're going to log off for that day when the Battle Pass is about to end and we get a new one. Claim everything you have in here. I know some people will save this stuff up and wait until they'll have like a whole month's worth. However, you will lose it if you do not claim it, as far as I know. I'm pretty certain on that. This stuff does not carry over. You have to claim it or else you just lose it. So be sure to do that. It's very slick, honestly, how this new Battle Pass switch is going to happen a week out from when we get the new essences for Inferno 9 and things of that nature. So that's interesting to keep in mind. But After the new battle pass starts, however, you can save all of this stuff up until you're ready to go and claim everything. And Monday at the start of the week is always the best time to do this, because at the start of the week, every week, the server paragon will go up another 10 levels, and that is when your experience rewards will be the highest gains that you can get out of it. And then as soon as you claim everything, of course, you will start going further into the red deficit, and this value will get less and less and less the more levels you gain, of course. So that is why every Monday is the best time to claim all of this stuff from your battle pass and get the most bang for your buck. So there you go for that. And of course, other bi-weekly activity here to do on the checklist, continuing on, is the Vanguard, which this does yield some fairly decent, you have a chance anyway, it's RNG, as everything is, of course, but you have a good chance of getting some set items, you have a good chance of getting some legendary pieces even, and a lot of these have some cool Helliquary boss added effects. Some are better than others, obviously, and there's some that I've actually come to like more so than others, but it's not preferred. Honestly, I'd rather still have like crit hit, crit chance, or crit hit chance, crit hit damage, that kind of stuff, more so than anything else. But nonetheless, you get what you can get. Then every now and again, you'll get a decent multiple affix and triple roll every once in a while. It's not all the time. It happens sometimes, but this is just another form of getting some more gear out of this event, obviously, and that's the main reason to do this one twice a week. So this is also a weekly activity that is a pretty much a must-do, of course, as well. Another weekly activity here is the crafting materials, of which you can get from the open world farming. You'll see the nodes throughout the zones that you will go and touch on and collect most of these generally. However, the stained remains tend to be done best in, of course, the temple dungeon because of the multiple bosses at the end, but you can have a chance of getting this from any elite packs in any form. It says wild zones, dungeons, or from bosses and dungeons. So that is why the Temple of Namari is the preferred one for this. But for spamming, anyway, if you really want to farm up your stained remains for the week quickly. But nonetheless, these other ones you get from the nodes in the open world farming and in terror rifts as well. They have sometimes you will get them from the chest rewards in there, and then the Rhodolite also. Now, a little side note on this one, as of right now of this recording, we have the Goblin event going on right now. If you see those purple gobbies, the purple gobbies are great. They are so good right now. It's a shame that they're not going to be in the game aside from after this current Halloween season. But they are absolutely great because I got mine very, very quickly last week. The maximum Rhodolite amounts from doing the purple gobbies in dungeon spam. And I got them very, very quickly in a short amount of time. So it was glorious. I'd love to see them stay in the game. I'd honestly love to see them just leave those gobbies, if not in dungeons, leave them in the open world at random. That would be nice. That would be very, very nice if they would leave them in there. But nonetheless, this is all the stuff. This is, I wouldn't necessarily exactly put this on the must-do, but, you know, as you're just playing the game, just keep in mind to do this kind of thing. It does help, especially when we switch to the new. This ties into the next difficulty up that we are approaching. This does help make it better for when you want to craft your legendary gear. If you did have horrible RNG luck, which most of us still do, in getting some good rolls as far as that goes, you can always wait. And especially if you want certain class-specific affixes to be assigned to those pieces. In particular, Wizard's case, of course, the slow time one is what we usually want in any way, shape, or form. Either one or two pieces of that, of course, is always sought after for the most part. That's just a little side note. So if you want to make sure you're stockpiled on your gear crafting materials, this is something that you will want to focus on. Bringing it back around to the Terra Essence, a little touch on here. Whenever you go and consume Terra Essences for either the Oblivion Pillar runs or the Hellslayer bounties, of which you convert 4 bounties in 4 daily bounties into a Hellslayer bounty, you will consume a Terror Essence in the process. Whenever you consume them, however you choose to complete it with the Hellslayer bounties or the harder version of the Oblivion Pillars, which you just literally use straight up a Terror Essence and you're off to the races with this one. Once you use 10, you can turn this in. You can do it twice a week and get a guaranteed triple roll legendary gear. Guaranteed triple stat. Now, the magic affixes, however, are going to be, you know, RNG, of course, as usual. But you will get a guaranteed triple roll. Now, of course, you have a high chance of getting Vitality in there. As we all know, at this point, Vitality is going around like a plague. 90 to 95% of our gear drops right now, for whatever reason. I think the net code is broken, and that we are getting Vitality gear all over the place, more so than anything else, and it's honestly, I think something needs to be looked into on that. It's really, really bad. It's really bad. It's the worst I've seen it. And this has been going back a couple months, at least a month and a half to 2 months. It's been really prevalent. So I think something needs to be addressed as far as that goes. But anyway, I'm not the only one, because this has been posted in a lot of places about this. So I think we're all in agreement on that. But a little side note on this one for the Battle Pass ending, however, with the Terror Essence turn-ins. For those guaranteed, this carries over. If you have any progression in here out of the Terror Essence turn-ins, which I thought I did, I was going to have some more to show here, but unfortunately I don't. I burned mine recently. This carries over the progress on the Terror Essence for the week if the Battle Pass switches. So it's nice. I love that. The fact that you don't lose any progress on the Terror Essence turn-ins. It carries over into the new Battle Pass. I've already had that. I've already experienced this beforehand, so I know it happens for sure. So that's a very nice thing. A little side note on that one. And then, of course, well, looking straight out here, this is the last one. Definitely do the weekly boss Diablo challenge. You'll get a guaranteed legendary to drop from it, sometimes 2, depending. I've had 2 drop before. You might even get, no, I don't know if you get 3, but I've had 2 at least drop before. Random, RNG, of course, per usual, same thing. And then you will get some varied affixes attached to it as well, class bound or not, or the words. But yeah, it's always worth doing. A lot of times, and more often than not, I still end up scrapping the stuff. Every once in a while, you will get a decent piece out of it. So there's just a little extra added bonus to it. But there we go. Oh, and the last little bit here. Tying this all up. I know I've gone on for quite a while on this. If you've hung around this entire time, I appreciate you. Again, this is mostly a recap for the most important things throughout the week for newer players, and this is just a little bit of a refresher and some little side notes, like I said, along the way for paying attention to what really to focus on before the new difficulty change and the new paragon levels set in. 2 things actually, as in this one here for the Hilt Trader, is you can consider this a weekly, I guess, because you can grab everything you want in one go if you so choose here, which I'm going to do right now. Let me go ahead and grab the Pearl. I'm going to go ahead and stock up on my Rare Crests because I run these for the Elder Rifts, for the Telluric fragments, or not Telluric fragment, yeah. For these also will yield Telluric fragments. I forgot to make mention of these during the Elder Rifts with the Fading Embers. Not only you get Fading Embers, but whenever you run crests of any form, you will get Telluric fragments, which are then in turn used, especially as a free-to-play, in crafting gems that you can use for gem power or food for your gem upgrades. That is definitely a key thing to do with that one. Oh, and one more other thing I usually get out of here is keys, aspirant keys. I'll go and grab these real quick and be done with that. There you go. Okay. Use that well. So there is a weekly task there, and of course the last thing of the absolute must-dos, because your clan's going to require you to, is your faction weekly goals. In this case, we're on Immortals, so we of course have our weekly Immortal tally of things to do, and of course certain things for Immortals are more, they yield more of the Sigil of Dominance is what you're after. So in the case of Immortals, of course, the main things we focus on are the bounties. Oh, I keep closing it. Are the bounties, and I already turned it in, so I have to do an Elder Rift to get it back. But the monster essence orbs, turn-ins, and bounties are pretty much the highest on this list for us to complete over and over and over again. Bounty is a little trick with that one for Immortals anyway, is you complete the 4 set of bounties and then you abandon them and then you pick them up again, so that way you can just keep spamming this activity over and over and over and over and over and over again until you're blue in the face. It does kind of suck sometimes, but that's how you want to maximize your sigil gains for the Immortals. And then as far as shadows go, your bounties and such, shadows tasks are a lot easier to complete throughout the week, and you still pretty much get about the same amount of stuff regardless of the fact. So there's that. Okay, if you have any questions, of course, especially for newer players out there, please put them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. And as always, anything else that you guys want to feel free, comment. Help out the algorithm, of course, for the YouTube fight. That is, fighting the YouTube algorithm and continuing to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff per usual. So, all right, that is it for the weekly checklist activities and a little couple side notes like I wanted to make as far as a little bit of prep for the upcoming 1100 Paragon switch over to Inferno 9, gearing up as fast as we can anyway. Couple little things, but again, don't stress over it. It's something that we're all going to get to eventually anyway, but just play the game. You'll get there regardless of the facts. So again, like, don't try to, you know, min-max too hard on that kind of thing. Don't ever feel pressured, is what I'm saying. Don't ever feel pressured in any game whatsoever by anyone, okay? Just play a game, have fun with it until you don't, and then take a break, play something else for a while, come back, that kind of thing. That's the glory of the cycle of games and the variety of games. That's how it's always been. That's how it always will be. Keep that in mind. Don't make things into a chore, of course, as usual. So anyway, as always, everybody, stay safe out there in the real world on fire. Take care of yourselves as best you can, one day at a time. It is all we can do. It is the best we can do for sure. Believe me on that. Until next time, see ya.